Greetings. How you guys doing? Phew, we're back again. It's Friday, and for yet another episode, or I should say another part. Story of my life, part three. Again, let me say thanks to all the listeners, to all the viewers. Thanks to all the new subscribers. I appreciate you for taking the time off to watch the videos and to subscribe. And those of you who haven't subscribed as yet, don't forget to hit the subscribe button before this video is over, and hit the notification bell so you can know when I post new content, which is every Friday. So let's jump straight into it. Quick recap. Going to school in the town and living with my family, Daru, Daru and Roy. So here we are, going into the workforce. Right when I come off of school, me and my dad had this very short conversation about whether or not I wanted to go to college. And in my mind, I felt like it was a good idea. I felt like I saw my dad and mom struggle so much and work so hard to send me to school. I figured now that I'm out of high school, I should go straight into the workforce as opposed to trying to spend more of their money. I know they meant well at the time, but I was like, nah, I don't want to put them through that, because then my younger brother Darion was still going to school. So I got a job at Astafans, and those of you from Dominica, you know exactly where Astafans is. I used to work in the Roseau branch. I think it's King George V Street. I believe it's King George V Street, if I am not wrong. If I am wrong, somebody can correct me in the comment section. I will stand corrected. But I believe it was King George V Street, and it was right, very close to the police station, kind of sort of at the back of Karam and J Astafans was like right next to one another. Karam was here, J Astafans was right there, and I started working at J Astafans as a salesperson, and sometimes I did deliveries with my boy Grayson. Big up Grayson, I hope you're seeing this one. We did deliveries all over Dominica, and I really enjoyed the delivery part. You know, we would leave town like 12 o'clock in the day, and sometimes come back all 12 o'clock in the night, because we'd have to go all Vickers, Paybush, and all those places there. Most of those places I had visited there already, because my dad is an evangelist, and so we travel a lot in Dominica. Almost every Sunday we went to a different church, a different village. I still adopt that habit right now, where I go to different churches. So most of the places I had known them already, but it was a really nice experience to go all these different places over again. And I remember working at Astafans was a really cool experience for me, as some people may know me as a very people's kind of person. When I get comfortable with people, I can be a little bit standoffish or a little bit shy sometimes, but once I get used to people, I come out my shell. I'm an introvert, but at that time, I think I was kind of displaying attributes of an extrovert, because I was more outspoken then. But working by Astafans was a really cool experience. I sold mattresses, I sold fridge, I sold stove. Two-burner stove was the thing back then. I sold hundreds of two-burner stoves. I work alongside my colleagues. I think I can remember some of my colleagues' names. Like I said, Miss Daru was not the Daru I stayed with, but another Daru was my supervisor at the time, and Miss Remy was my assistant supervisor. And Miss Remy Miss Dara was a really lovely lady, but me and Miss Remy really clicked, you know. Miss Remy could bake a really mean cake, you know. She would do a really nice rum cake, boy. I still miss those rum cakes, even today. And even after I left working at Astafans, me and Remy, we stayed in contact. She's a really nice lady. I think she still works at Astafans. The last time I was in Dominica, I went to see her. She was at Fonkole. No, she was at Kenfield. Most of that time, I was still staying with Daru in Newtown, And then afterwards, after from Newtown, I moved quite a few places. I'd say a few districts in the Roseau area, or in the outskirts of Roseau. I lived at Canefield at once. I lived Folkole at once. I lived River Street at once, and I lived different parts of Newtown at once, High Street at once. But Astafans is kind of like the job that kind of brought me out of my shell really. When I was going to school, I was very very shy. I was a very very shy boy up to even fifth form. I had very few friends going to school. Very very shy, like I said, and Astafans kind of, you know, bring me or break me out of my shell. I was working with Don, big up Don. That's my boy from way back when. We did a little bit of crime together. That was my partner in crime back in the days. We used to go out and have fun and drink, and back in those days I used to party, and Don was my boy back in those days. And there was another guy we used to call Tall Boy. I don't remember his name again, but I remember him by his nickname. We used to call him Tall Boy, and that was my boys back in the days. And then I don't remember at what point I left. I stopped living with Daryl there, and I went to live with my brother's girlfriend at the time, Erin. Big up Erin. She's in St. Thomas right now, and I went to stay with Erin and Nanette. And man, let me tell you, that was in River Street. And let me tell you, man, those girls treat me like a king. I ain't gonna lie. You know, I never forget those girls, man. Those girls treat me like the real king of the house. I mean, I think it was like 4 or 5 girls in the house at one point. And my brother Shy Guy used to come in and out. It was Shy Guy's girlfriend. Shy Guy used to come in and out, but he didn't really used to stay there all the time. And I used to live there with them, and those girls used to treat me real, real, real good. I remember at some point, man, I would come out to work well tired. Those girls would take me, put my foot in a basin to soak and clean my foot. And I'm telling you, man, like real, 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 real good people, man. And that was some really, really lovely days of my young life. I would say I think I was about like 18, 19 at that time, you know, in my prime, you know, just coming out, you know. And then after that, we all moved to Fonkole. We rented a house in Fonkole where the girls rented downstairs, and me and my sister Giselle. Giselle was what was Giselle doing at the time? I think she was a nurse at the time. And Shy Guy, you know, and we rented a 3 bedroom house. So we stayed upstairs, and Erin and the rest of the girls stayed downstairs. Like again, like I said, I stayed quite a few places around the vicinity of Roseau, or I would say in different parts of Roseau. And I remember staying at Goodwill at one point, and that's where I met my boys Cremo and Kerry. Cremo and Kerry, I'll tell you a little bit about those guys. You know, those guys were like, in my opinion, the truest version of a friend. I have never had a friend like those guys since I moved. I moved here in Anguilla, and I always miss those guys. I stay very close contact with Cremo. Me and him, you know, we WhatsApp all the time. But those guys were like, you know, like my real brothers, you know. And how we met was, I used to go out with Cremo's cousin, and that's how I met Cremo. But like I say, you know, those guys were like the truest version, in my opinion, of a friend. Until now, I have some really cool friends now. I'll tell you about them when we get further down the line. But and yeah, remember I was telling you guys about music creeping back in my life when my dad went to St. Croix at the time, and bought instruments and put in the house. We started playing music. All of us kind of basically gravitated to an instrument. I think Shy Guy used to play keyboard, bass at one point. I only stuck to the drums. Darian was pretty small at the time, but Darian kind of gravitated to the guitar. And at one point, we ended up forming a band. Shy Guy wasn't involved in that band, but me and Darian and Ali and Jonathan, we ended up forming a band called Genesis Band. I think that was in the latter part of my high school, going into working at Astafans. I remember working at Astafans and having to be helping my dad them with bananas. So they would take the bananas from the country, put them in boxes, put them on a vehicle we call a van at the time. They call them pickup trucks in the States, but in the Caribbean we call them vans. Um, Put them on a van and take them to the deep water harbor or the port uh, to to be selected to go to England. And I remember I used to hitch ride from Roseau to go up to the country to take the van of bananas to come back down to bring down to Fokole for my dad, and then go back up and then come back down the next morning. And I remember those days, boy. Those days were some fun days, boy. Those were the days when you could speed. You could speed up because there wasn't that much traffic on the road. Um, I remember going to country, man, and in the wee hours of the morning, man, like 15, 20 minutes, man, in your country. I mean, usually it would take you like 45 minutes, but we would speed. I'm telling you. I remember this was like a fun thing, you know. You have like 5, 6 vans from the countryside. They would be waiting. We'd be waiting for one another. So let's say one guy's off at 10 o'clock, the other guy's off at 10:30, the other guy's off at 11. We waiting for one another so we could race to get back to the country. I remember one night I did those guys a trick, man. I waited on them, and as soon as I saw the other guy coming, I drove off. I drove off, maybe a couple of miles. I went into a little corner of the road. I switched my lights off, and I watched those guys pass with full speed. Full speed, we call that. Those guys pass. Boom, 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 like 3 guys. And then I go up country by myself because I wasn't really in the racing mood that particular night, and I kind of wanted to be a little mischievous too. Those vans used to run. We had a Mitsubishi L200. The number plate was 1540. I can remember. I never forget that. And that was our transportation back in the days. That van lasted 20 years, 20 years with us. But again, as I'm telling my story, I'm realizing that in every junction of my life, I had people that were just like really, really true friends and true family and true to me, and showed me nothing but love and respect, and stemming from, like I said in episode 2, stemming from Daru, who just took us up as a family, Daru and Roy, and to Irene and Nanette, really treating me like their brothers, and to people like Cremo and them and their family, the Jean-Jacques, like really treating me like really, really cool. I can remember even after me and Cremo's cousin wasn't eating anymore, those guys still treat me like as if I was their brother, and I really respect that. When I go back home, I go to see their mom. So yeah, and I call their granny just like she's my granny, because that's how I know her, and that's how she treated me like a grandson. And yeah, I just want to be grateful for the people that that show me love in my life, from my family at home to everybody else I met. There's a few cases of people trying to mistreat me, but in most of my stories you're gonna hear nothing but love, and that was my life in the town. I really enjoy that. I have lived a little bit. I'm only 42, but I've enjoyed myself. That's why I tell people nowadays, when I say I'm not going out, I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking, I'm not doing anything, I've done all of this and more, so I've enjoyed my life, and I really enjoy my time, spending in the town. It was, like I say, a different environment, a different culture, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And to all the people, to all the folks out there who I came into contact with and showed me nothing but love, whether it be working at Astafans or whether it be after I left Astafans. I wanna say thank you to you, and I want to give you a big shout out. I can't call everybody by name, like I said. You know, the story is coming in by PCs, and it's a long time ago. So I'm trying my best not to leave out anything, but I'm sure I'm going to leave out some stuff. But yeah, I just really appreciate my journey, and I hope you can also appreciate my journey and see something in my journey that inspires you. So I at some point, I don't remember how much years I stayed working at Astafans, but at some point I just decided that I think I literally went home for lunch one day and just decided I wasn't going back. Something in me was just like, it's time for you to do something for yourself. It's time for you to take a different path. And I just didn't go back to work. And then I moved to the country because my dad was planning to go to Florida at that time. And so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna move back to the country. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I moved back to the country, but I am almost sure I was probably like 22 when I moved back to the country, somewhere between 22 and 23 when I moved back to the country, and a different scope of my life started again, where I started to work for myself and dabble into short businesses, and that's where the entrepreneurship that I have, that I exhibit right now, start to manifest itself, and that is gonna come in part 4. So again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time off again to listen to my story, and I hope my story can be inspiring to you. Um, but yeah, that was part 3, and look out for part 4. Moving into the country, back into the country, starting to do farming, starting to do a whole bunch of different small businesses, and that's what gave me the hustle mentality that I have right now. So again, thank you so much for joining me again, and I hope you're having a good time and a good day and a good night, or whatever time it is for you in the rest of the world. Thank you so much again. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you can know when I post videos, which is every Friday. And again, thank you. I love you.